Hey everybody, I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to Sit Down. Laura Mattioli is here with us, Soho's Center for Italian Modern Art. She's the founder and the president. It is really nice to meet you. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I am very well, and I enjoy to share my experience at CIMA with you.
Yeah, I would love to speak to you about that because art has been such a big part of your life. I mean, going back to your childhood with your father and since the 80s with CIMA. So how about just this year? I mean, what has this year been like for you as somebody who lives and breathes art?
Oh, of course, it was a difficult year because we had to close in March, March 18 as all the institutions and museums, but we worked from home and we tried to experiment a new way to communicate with our members, the public, and we set up the program for the next year that are very exciting. And we look forward to come back and be in touch with all the people that are interested in art. Also not.
No question about it. So for somebody like you who has been around art for your entire life, what's it like for you to see the New York City art scene? Because it feels unique compared to some other spots around the world.
I came to New York to create this foundation because I think that New York is one of the most important places. Everybody comes from all the world to meet each other in New York, to share experience, to see what is going on. It's a very alive place. It's a very important place for communication and for ideas and for new proposals. This is a very special time, of course, for everybody because we have to stay apart each from the other, and it's a bit difficult for me to accept that the artworks cannot be shown many times in person. They are only in reproduction. But I think we can go on and learn more from this experience in the way to communicate also from far. And I think that New York will be back very soon. It's also beautiful now. I like so much all this cafe or this restaurant in the streets with the light, with the flowers, with the people. I feel very energetic.
So you mentioned the fact that you came here in the 80s. What was it about Italian modern art that you wanted to show in New York? Because people know this all over the world.
Well, I started to come in New York with a famous Italian collector that is Giuseppe Panza di Biumo. We are very friendly together, and he came every year 2 months, one in the fall and one in the spring in the States to see art, artists and galleries. And I shared with him this interesting experience, and I realized that nobody knows modern art, Italian modern art. They know the Baroque, they know the history, they know the past, but not the present. And I think that the present is very important because we have a very good and important and interesting artists, but also is very important as experience. Because I think in the time we are now, all the artists has to face the tradition from where they come. We are in a globalized time, but the identity of the country from where we come is very important. The identity of the culture of the past is something that all the artists have to face and to transmit through new media and new word and new image. And Italians were between the first that has this problem because everywhere in Italy they are artworks. They grow up, all the artists between the artworks. They are also very celebrated. And this relation and also comparison was challenging for them. And for their experience, I think many people have to learn. Also, I don't know, the people coming from Africa or coming from Japan or coming from China face strong old tradition, important old tradition, but the actual word is a different word, and we have to make a bridge between the two to go on.
I think you hit on a lot of really important things because from my perspective, it could be a really exciting time to be an artist right now with everything going on, but also a really big challenge because you have a traditional set of values versus a newer set of values. So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges, whether it's Italian artists or just artists in general, in terms of making things that cut through in 2020?
Well, I think, yes, is a big challenge also because there is now a very strong feeling in States for what happens in the last months about the social responsibility of art. That is a subject that touches very much the reality of every day and the meaning of what we do. Art in the time lost a lot of use, common use it has. For example, in the past, to have a portrait of your parents, you need to have a portrait by a painter. Now you shot a photo with your cell phone, is very easy. No? The change of the technique change completely the possibility we have, give us new possibility, completely open and easy for everybody. That means a different position of the artist in the society and more large, I think, responsibility to share about what he believes and what he see. And also, I think this is very challenging now in States because art take this responsibility to make a less racist country, more social responsibility for everybody. I think there are many opportunities, but only the artists can answer, not the critics. The critics follow the artist.
Well, you also bear a responsibility too in terms of the art that you're showcasing. And I know in January, Mario Chiffano is somebody that will be exhibited at your spot. So he's kind of the Andy Warhol of Italy, from what I understand. So what can people expect when that comes in January?
Well, I had this incredible experience to be the daughter of a collector. And I grew up between the artworks with a strong feeling, this is what really I inherited from my father, that art is not for bourgeois, is not for rich people, is not a status symbol, is a way to speak about something that is important for everybody, something that can raise us from the sadness, from the pain, from the problems to a more high consciousness and a feeling of more light life, a more better life. And I think this is really what art has to do, to speak to everybody about something that is also beautiful at the end. Also, the consciousness of what is dark is beautiful. If you take a distance to art from the urgency of the present moment. And for this reason, I set up this foundation that is mostly as a house, where the people can stay and speak and meet. It's very important for me that the young fellow, they come from all the world and have a personal experience with the artworks and not only with the reproduction on the computer or the books about the artwork. So this is very different. Can share this experience with the public, can speak with them. They are not in our place, long text on the walls. There is a sofa. We welcome the people with an Italian coffee. And we start to speak in the kitchen, and they can have this intimate and long and quiet experience of the artworks that is difficult to have in the museum. Many times in the museum, the people are a bit embarrassed. They don't feel this ambience so large, so tall, with so important paintings, so good for them to be confident, to have a direct personal relation with the artworks. Our house instead take away all these levels of importance and make the speak together and the look very important. I think that to learn to look in person, the real artworks is really something that teach us to think. If we look yourself and you forget all the boxes, all the academics, all the school, and what it was taught to you in the past, and you have a direct feeling what you are looking, you also start to think by yourself. And to think by yourself is very important in the world we are now. Not to follow the media, the mass, what is told, but to understand by ourselves what is the reality.
That's really beautifully said, and being an individual thinker is so important, and we can discover so much not only about ourselves from the art, but about cultures as well. I think that's, one of the coolest things about art, right?
I think we have a big responsibility in this moment to work about education, because the future of the country, every country, is about the education of the people. The most problematic situation for the racism come from the school, for the difference between the school and the level of education that the people can have. To work on the education is our first responsibility. And I think that CIMA is working not in a conventional way, perhaps, but in the most large way possible. For example, we will do this year some film about the exhibition we are doing, and to send them in the schools, but also in the place where the people are in retirement, or in the way they can have an experience that is in some way new of culture, not something too high for them, but at their level.
Well, thank you for being a leader in that category. It was really nice to meet you, and best luck with everything going forward. Right?